was a geography teacher at the Ethical Culture School, and part of educating the students on geography, he and Frank Manny had the idea to take them to Ellis Island and see the immigrants that were coming into this country, really to understand what that meant, people of different countries coming into the United States. He started photographing the immigrants coming through Ellis Island as a teaching tool to say, here are the people coming to the United States, and let's look at them and consider their stories. The idea for Old World, New Soil really came to me at sort of the cross between Lewis Hine and Alan Eaton, and both of these men worked for the Russell Sage Foundation, although at different times. Alan Eaton was looking at the crafts and wrote a book in 1932 called Immigrant Gifts to America, and he was looking at the crafts of immigrants and how that was adding new texture to the United States and adding new sort of artistic elements that we hadn't had before. And so Old World, New Soil is kind of taken from this crossover of these two men and what they were working for. And pulling from the Asheville Art Museum's collection, I wanted to focus on artists that were not born in this country. The Asheville Art Museum is an American art museum. So what does that mean? Who do we collect? Certainly anyone born in the United States and identifying as an American, but also immigrants to this country that have become American, or truly a lot of artists that perhaps never became officially American but spent the majority of their artistic careers in this country. Something really interesting came about as I started to compile this list of who do we as an American art museum collect that was not born in America. I started to compile this list, and I saw a really interesting thing happening with a lot of the artwork. There was often a dialogue between the artist's country of birth and what they really embraced as an American, and a lot of the objects in that exhibition have a fun story behind them when you sort of look at those two sides of the same artist. I think one of the loveliest examples of this is the Pierdara. He was born in Spain, he studied in Spain, and then he went to Paris and studied, so he's coming from this background of Impressionism and Cubism. So Dara and his family in 1939 moved to Virginia, and he spent the rest of his life there. His works, as you'll see in Funeral in the exhibition, certainly have this mix of Cubism and Impressionism in their style, but you'll notice in the background, it's the Blue Ridge Mountains that you see. So it's painted in sort of this old world style to him, but of his new soil.
And as well, he's painted himself into the scene. You can see the artist here on the left, showing that he's really a part of this community now.
The Spaniard coming to the United States, painting the American flag in it and representing his new home, the Blue Ridge Mountains.